Hi, this is my English project on Harold and the Boys. And all right, so first off, I think Harold and the Boys is really a process. The author, Arthur Fagard, does a great job allowing the reader to slowly understand the characters and their thought process throughout the novel. Not many, or not the novel, through the play, because not many plays do a good job really emphasizing the characters. But the reason that author did such a good job is because he was really able to go in depth with the only three characters that he had in the play, and pretty much like I felt throughout the play that there was going to be a lot of excessive dialogue considering there's only three characters, and they did a good job making it pretty useful, and like it wasn't a lot of just BS language throughout the novel, or throughout the play, so there wasn't a lot of stuff that you felt you could be without. It did start off a little slower, but it definitely picked up the pace as they were able to give more characters more attributes. But the author also does a good job using slang and jokes to set the time period of the dance. From the dancing to the language used, he made sure the reader understood the setting and the current social situation, so the segregation issues and things like that, and how it started off is like it was in the 1950s, and they had to really set the tone for the setting being the 1950s. But an example of one of him setting the tone for the period of time is Willie and how he like hurts his wife, and so I guess he hits her or something like that, and he doesn't understand why that is a negative, like why that's negative, and I guess back in the day that would make sense because it was more widely acceptable back then. One of my favorite quotes from the novel I would include is when Sam and Haley are arguing about being or the meaning of school or being good at school. And she says, Winston Churchill is not as good at school on line 45. And I really make a personal connection with this because when I would fail a math test or I would mess up an assignment, I'd always go home and tell my mom, like, oh, I wasn't good at it, I'm not going to be successful, the basic down talk stuff. And she would always respond with the fact that Einstein was also dyslexic, and that would somehow give me confidence to go back to school and try it again. And I think it was proven like last year or something that Einstein is not dyslexic. You probably know that better than I do. But pretty much that's one of my favorite quotes throughout because it definitely like it just connects with me, and that's the reason I picked it. There's also the quote where they make the joke where it's I have it written down right here. It says, "You want to know your favorite joke is?" Gives out a big groan. You see, he says, "It's not fair," says Haley. What chum, he says a N word. He drops the N word in the joke, which is obviously this part is extremely important, and it's definitely not one of my favorite quotes, but it is really important to the novel because Haley is really now starting to adopt her own father's thinking and his own point of views. Like throughout the novel, she starts off being nice to the servants and treating the servants well. Towards the end of the novel, you can tell that or towards the end of the play, you can tell that she treats people a lot worse than she used to. Like she started to understand, like, and adopt some of her own father's viewpoints and thinking, which comes into play later in the play. One of the points I also took from the story is how interesting it is how the kids and their ability to adopt their father's traits. So, like with Haley and her dad being a racist and spending a lot of time around him, she was, able to adopt his racial mentality. Another point I'd like to make about the offer is the ability to avoid all the other characters in play. Another good example is on Haley's phone call with her mother. And there is room for dialogue with her mom in the story, but the author does a good job really limiting it to nothing. Like they just use Haley's dialogue for the phone call. And I think that's really important because the author made sure that there wasn't many excessive characters in the play or characters that didn't need to be there. And I really liked one of my final points is I really liked the analogy that they had in the play with dancing. This is something I used in my own life to explain kind of a relationship to one of my ex-girlfriends, but it was cool because I always thought about relationships as two people dancing separately. So you got one person dancing over here doing their dance, and you got another person dancing over here. And part of a relationship is being able to come together and dance together, but while still being able to grow and dance separately. And I think that was a lot to do with the play and how they used the symbolism with the dances and things like that. But I did write a lot here. I didn't feel that my words were really coming out right. I thought I was more word vomiting, which is why I decided to do a video. If I didn't have enough information, I can send you this or I can make another video. But I really enjoyed the play. There are some points I'd really like to talk about. Like Haley's character was really a lot to me. Like it was hard for me to follow Haley's character. I did think I did think it was important that the Willie hit his wife and stuff, but I did also think that that was like kind of a point in the play that really didn't need to be there. Um, there's a lot of other good stuff. I enjoyed the play. It's one of the craziest plays I've ever read for only being three characters and having such a great story. But all right, that's all my video. Jordan Cosby, English class. Thank you so much.